I had heard the other day that the best part of a child's Christmas is to go through all of their gifts a day or two later and rediscover the joy with which they had received. I took this message to heart as I reflected on a book I found at Brews Books a few weeks ago. I was on a mission to get a gift for my Secret Santa at work. She had listed her likes as she enjoys reading, and then actually listed off some of the authors who included C.S. Lewis. So, having a good heart and a good mind, I went down to Brews Books and looked for a few of C.S. Lewis's books that might be in good condition, and then I wrapped them in plain paper with a message to a fellow C.S. Lewis reader. As usual, my thoughts became distracted as I looked. I searched for all the titles that I had read before, and perhaps even find a new one if I could. But I discovered, or I should say rediscovered, the book by Lewis entitled Miracles. It seemed appropriate for Christmas. And as I read it again, I came to the chapter entitled The Grand Miracle. It was about God the Father coming down to be with us as a human, the incarnation of divinity to humanity. The Christmas miracle of the child born in Bethlehem to Mary and Joseph. The Christmas miracle that brought shepherds to visit this holy family guarding their precious baby, wrapped in swaddling clothes and lying in a manger, with animals close by. The Christmas miracle that C.S. Lewis says is beyond all understanding, but delights our minds and our hearts. Then he goes on to write, we catch sight of a new revelation, the power of the higher, the highest we can possibly imagine, and then more, much more. This higher power comes down, and the power of the greater, our God, is to include the less. The Christmas miracle that brought baby Jesus into the lives of Mary and Joseph and the shepherds that night came to be with us, each one of us. Now that is a major miracle. By coming to be with us, Jesus' message was to simply recognize him within ourselves and in others, to be able to give ourselves to others. Each of our readings for today builds upon this message on this feast day of the Holy Family. We are reminded of how the Christmas miracle, Christ amongst us, provides us with sacred opportunities and spiritual invitations to see him with others we serve, and to experience his love when we reach out to those in need. In our first reading, Sirach speaks of our sacred opportunities to care for one another, mothers and fathers caring for their children, and then later children to care for their mothers and fathers, to find time in our busy lives in the midst of a pandemic to respect one another and to comfort those in need. In Paul's letter to the Colossians, he prays for the gifts of God to be shared. Brothers and sisters, he says, put on as God's chosen ones heartfelt compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another and forgiving one another. These gifts are so very vital to us in our family life, at home, as well as the life within our community and our world. Our reading from St. Luke allows us to witness one of the early journeys of the Holy Family to the temple area. Mary, with baby Jesus in her arms, Joseph, ever so observant, yet quietly listening. As the family is recognized, by the power of the Holy Spirit, those who have been waiting their entire lives to see the Messiah. Our Christmas miracle continues. Simeon reaches out to hold the baby, and Mary trustingly and tenderly passes the child into his hands. Now, Master, he says, you may let your servant go in peace, for my eyes have seen your salvation, which you prepared in the sight of all people. Anna looks upon the Holy Family, and after waiting so long, gives thanks to God and foretold to Mary and Joseph and to each one of us that this beautiful baby was who we were all awaiting, the redemption of Jerusalem and of the world. Mary and Joseph were amazed at these prophecies, but then, back to reality, they packed up for their journey home. Home, where the child grew and became strong, filled with the wisdom and the grace of God the Father was upon him. Our Christmas miracle complete? Not quite. Our miracle continues on through the next few weeks, and actually throughout the rest of our lives. Jesus' spiritual invitation to us to find peace within ourselves and to find it in our families, to find it in our friends, and most importantly, to find it in the strangers we meet today and throughout the new year. We wish you all a blessed Christmas season.